introduce the software Executive Strategy Manager. For those who don't know what Executive Strategy Manager is, Executive Strategy Manager is a web-based software application that facilitates robust strategy management throughout an organization. It enables the standardization and dissemination of strategic planning processes using the proven Kaplan-Norton Balanced Scorecard methodology, while increasing collaboration, positioning strategy in the right context for execution, and increasing the level of participation and engagement throughout the organization. At the same time, ESM increases the efficiency of strategy management by eliminating renegade spreadsheets, PowerPoint, custom applications that are hard to manage and maintain and audit. So Kent, as we introduce us to ESM, please also cover the questions that are asked earlier on, which were around organizational alignment, collaboration within organization with employees, and also how can leaders and managers effectively communicate the refresh strategy to employees and ensure alignment throughout the organization. Over to you, Kent.
Thank you. And I think, Dennis, to best introduce some of these concepts, and as we're talking about many of these frameworks and ideas, I think putting a picture behind it can really help. So I'm just going to share my screen for a moment here. And you need to self-reflect as an organization and figure out where are you in terms of your strategy management maturity and life cycle. Many organizations are still in the strategy formulation phase, where they're still trying to figure out what should our strategy be. Others have figured that out, and they're like, okay, I just need to design an execution framework, put it in the likeness of a balanced scorecard and strategy map, and help me manage it. Other organizations have already done both of those, and they just need to get out of the world of PowerPoint and Excel and move into an online application to be able to better communicate, share results and performance, and be able to shift the organization more rapidly through a framework. Whereas others are just trying to engage. They've got kind of a reporting process down, and they're trying to engage their employees, link them to the strategy so that they can figure out how they fit into the framework. So I use the terms formulate, design, report, and engage to articulate different stages of maturity and where organizations are in their own strategy journey. ESM platform can support you in any one of these stages. And I would argue that as an organization, as you're maturing, right, you can think about, what it is what is our performance when it comes to a strategy refresh process? What are areas where we need to improve when it comes to designing and reporting on our strategy, or communicating our strategy out and aligning employees? These are all part of kind of a gap analysis. So we referenced ESM strategy, and I want to give everyone just kind of product definitions around what the ESM suite is all about. If you're defining, reporting, executing strategy, that's really ESM strategy. For organizations that are looking to incorporate a more agile-based framework, the ESM OKR platform helps people get work done. It helps you organize it. It helps you communicate what the end state is, right? That key result that you're after. And it then helps individuals arrive at what their own OKRs are in terms of contributing to that end state. ESM Perform is where we incorporate in employee goal plans and developmental plans so that we can understand how employees are contributing or are not contributing to the overarching strategy. ESM Cyber supports our risk and compliance frameworks. So that's kind of a platform overview. And I think it's important with context as we move into a little bit more of an ESM application discussion during this second half of our podcast. So here's a visual strategy map. The beauty of a strategy map is it tells your organization's strategy on one page. Through capturing these boxes or bubbles or ovals, those are really just strategic statements. They are your strategies. They are your goals. They're what you're trying to achieve. They're action-oriented statements. When it comes to life, you can tell a story on those different strategies and how they are impacting one another as we think about different business perspectives, from talent and technology to our internal processes, to our customer or stakeholder outcomes, to the financial outcomes or budgetary constraints that we're managing the business by. We then light it up with red, yellow, green status indicators denoting levels of performance. And this strategy map becomes that poster that hangs on the wall within an organization. So it is a great execution-ready document. And it, oh, by the way, it becomes your agenda when you're reporting on strategy. This is how you drive strategic alignment. This is how you communicate strategy within the workforce. You're mitigating against risks as you're executing your strategy. So being able to create risk heat maps to understand the risks, the key risk indicators, the risk mitigation initiatives, and what impact or likelihood of the risk event occurring is critically important. So you're balancing your strategy in the context of also managing the risks. Similarly, you can build out a cybersecurity strategy. So you can cascade your strategy down and think about what is your overall governance structure? What are the compliance frameworks that you need to manage? What is the cyber just blocking and tackling and operational stuff you have to get done as part of maintaining good posture? And I threw up here on this slide some of the different frameworks. So whether you're an ISO shop and manage ISO 27001, ISO 20000, ISO 9000, right? All these different frameworks within the ISO compliance, mini NIST, cybersecurity, privacy type frameworks, payment card industry frameworks, all of these can be managed within ESM, within ESM platforms, but then can be incorporated together. So we're doing these holistically. We're not managing strategy in isolation. We're managing the context of the risk, right, of our compliance within the industry that we serve. So Dennis and I have thrown out a lot of concepts through the podcast today. And we just want to be very clear. Visual strategy map, that communicates, right, what the organization is trying to achieve over a 3 to 5 year basis. So I've taken this simple visual strategy map here, and I'll take an example from my internal process perspective. Seamless cross-group delivery of services, right? That's an objective. It's an action-oriented statement about what we are trying to achieve, what's critical for success. We then put in place measures, right, to support that. You want to have one key lag measure and sometimes a lead measure, right, as an indicator of what's to come. Are there storm clouds on the horizon? So seamless cross-group delivery of services is our example. And we're looking at the measure of promised delivery percent. So our target now is that desired level of achievement of where we want to hit on that measure. So this is a gap. This does not mean that we're performing at this level today, right? We're trying to strive towards improved performance. So in this example, a target is 97% the first time we're going to deliver what we promised. So that is not going to accomplish itself. We don't just make that grandiose statement and then sit back and watch the organization fail. No, we put in place, we equip the teams, right? We communicate the strategy, we equip the teams with the necessary processes or projects or programs or initiatives, whatever you want to call it, right? But the necessary activities to move that dial on the measure and achieve that target. In this example, For seamless cross-group delivery of services, our promised delivery percent is our measure. We're trying to hit 97%, whether that's over a year, 2 years, 3 years. We can then create milestone targets so we can monitor that on a monthly, quarterly basis. And then the initiative is service dispatch automation. We believe that that's going to have a material impact on this area of the strategy. Those are the building blocks of a well-written strategy. Whether you're going through it the first time or refreshing your strategy, you want to think of it into these contexts, right, of objectives, measures, targets, and initiatives. So continuing with the platform overview, I talked earlier about pastel analysis, SWOT, quarters, five forces. These are all done directly in the system. We bring these strategy formulation exercises to life. We can then cascade the strategy from the enterprise, if you're a large enough entity, into divisions or departments, and then all the way down from business and support areas right into employee level goal plans to the individual level. We are essentially, in Dr. Norton's eyes, making strategy everyone's job when we do this. We create alignment, we communicate that strategy down, right? And these are the building blocks to a well-executed strategy. We must implement it like this because it puts strategy in the context, right? So that it can be managed and executed really at all these different levels. So many organizations come to us with the challenge of, I have all these projects I want to do, right? With a whole project intake form, business cases. So we need to figure out what's going to have the most dramatic impact on the strategy. And this is where within the system, within ESM strategy, we're able to prioritize the projects based off of key strategic criteria. And this is an excellent workshop that you could actually work through with your team in the product, where you're evaluating initiative by initiative, what's the impact of this initiative on this strategic criteria or that strategic criteria. And you're able to arrive at an overall performance score for that initiative. So it helps you prioritize the initiative so that you are doing the right things and implementing the right projects and programs within the organization. At the end of the day, we're trying to service individuals depending on where they are in the organization. And we do that primarily through dashboards. Whether you're the CEO, the CFO, a frontline employee managing a business area, you need a certain set of information. So you have a unique set of objectives, measures, and initiatives that are most important to you, that you might be responsible for reporting on. So we're able to surface key dashboards and drill down into the details when it's appropriate. So if you want to see a performance summary of analytics around your overall initiative performance and click into the reds, you can do that. If you want to be able to link it to some of the operational activities that we're doing as an organization, you can do that. You're able to source data in from external systems. You can light up your strategy and automate it from those external systems. Or if you're just getting started, not comfortable with data sources, you can absolutely go right into the different data tables and manually type in data. So from manual to full automation, we're able to kind of meet your needs within that space. Dennis, a great way to kind of articulate some of the questions you posed around strategic alignment is through this visual. And this is where we're capturing the strategy. If you're in a multi-tiered organization, large enough to have different, what I would call kind of strategic focus areas in different divisions or departments, this alignment view within ESM really puts it all on one page. I like to say this is the 30,000-foot view. This gives an executive leadership team insight into the overall corporate, and then you can see the different support areas, business areas, and how they are performing and how they are, most importantly, aligned to the strategy. So we're creating visual alignment at the objective, measure, and initiative level, because this is what drives informed decision making. And that's ultimately what we're trying to do. Whether we do it online or whether we do it through briefing books, reports, poems, board level reports, we're able to extract that data out of ESM or present it directly on the screen and have a meaningful discussion, a meaningful drill down. We can push data out to SharePoint. We can push data out to external websites. So we're a data pull in. We're also a data pull out application. It's able to really address that communication aspect that's so important in effective strategy execution. And at the end of the day, we're all about decision making, right? So what ESM and what this framework does really well is it presents strategy in a digestible manner. Through visual strategy maps and scorecards like you see here, we can tell the story of our strategy. We can drill down into the reds. We can raise areas of concern. We can be testing our strategy. Again, we're talking about iterating against our strategy. So we're constantly testing areas of concern. We're drilling down into those areas. We're understanding the impact the initiatives are or are not having against the strategy, and we're making decisions. We're making decisions around the strategy. Those are the action items that get signed due dates, accountable team members. Those team members get alerted that they now need to follow through with an action item as part of the strategy review in the ongoing iteration against the strategy. So these are really, I would say, profound experiences and learnings when an organization first goes into that strategic reporting using this discipline model and focus, where they are able to hone in on the critical few objectives, talk about the critical few measures driving it, right? And then drill down into the most critical initiatives that really is where the strategy hits the road, with being able to evaluate performance and make decisions. So Dennis, I'll just pause there. Hopefully some of these visuals for our listeners are able to paint a better picture of what we mean by visual strategy maps, what an objective measure initiative is, how you can prioritize projects, and how you really bring the system to life and light it up with red, yellow, green status indicators and do drill downs into performance so that we are actively managing and executing strategy.
Thank you, Kent. Clearly, ESM is a comprehensive solution that integrates strategy management, performance management, and reporting into a single unified platform. And clearly, there are benefits for board members. A tool like ESM ensures that there's real visibility, access up to date performance metrics, access to key performance indicators anywhere, anytime, enabling informed decision-making and strategic oversight. And for board members, some of the benefits include alignment and accountability, ensuring alignment of strategic objectives across the organization and holding executives accountable for their performance through clear visualization of progress. It also includes proactive risk management, the ability to identify potential risks and issues promptly, and also enabling proactive intervention and mitigation strategies to safeguard organizational goals. These are some of the benefits, Ken, that I'm picking up. And for executives, from your presentation, I can clearly see that the streamlined strategy execution, the tool will provide executives with a centralized platform to cascade strategic goals, assign responsibilities, monitor progress, foster a culture of accountability, and driving effective execution. And obviously, there are those who are looking for performance highlights. The tool will ensure that those who are looking for performance highlight, they gain comprehensive visibility into departmental, individual performance, empowering executives to make data-driven decisions and optimizing resource allocation and taking timely corrective action when necessary. Then when it comes to collaboration and engagement, from what I've seen, Kent, it fosters collaboration amongst teams, encouraging cross-functional cooperation and collective problem solving. and leading to improved performance and increased employee engagement. That's for executives. For employees in an organization, clearly one of the challenges has been employee performance expectations, right? Now, it empowers employees with a transparent understanding of organizational objectives, individual KPIs, and how their work contributes to the overall strategy, enhancing motivation and focus. It also supports continuous feedback and coaching, right? It facilitates ongoing feedback loops, coaching opportunities, enabling employees to track progress, identify areas of improvement, and also to develop professionally. It could also be linked to a recognition and reward system, right? Which is a process that's managed
Yes.
by your HR department, where employees would be recognized and rewarded for their exceptional performance. It can also foster a positive work environment, boosting employee morale and retention. Now, Kent, for our audience out there, what can you say about the importance of adopting a tool like ESM, given what we discussed earlier on, that we're in the era of accelerated digital transformation? Just give me, as we close, the 5 key benefits of adopting a tool like ESM as part of your digital acceleration program.
So, Dennis, what I would, and before I get into those specific benefits, I want organizations and individuals in those organizations to understand that it's not just the technology, it's not just the process, it's not just the leadership, it's all three. Those are really the three legs to the stool to drive an effective strategy management system. And it's important to note that, because I'll reference earlier Dr. Kaplan's research on this notion of being a good leader and a manager, right? That's the leadership aspect. You need the right people, right, with the right skill set to be able to drive an effective strategy. You need the right processes, and ESM as a platform absolutely supports those processes. So you need the right processes in place to overcome the challenges when you're implementing strategy, to know what to do when there's too many initiatives, right? When you have too many objectives, to figure out how to hone down and really focus so that you don't dilute your strategy, but you're able to stay focused. And then there's the technology. And ESM software for over 2 decades now has been supporting an organization with effective, reporting and strategy execution. So people, process, and technology, I think, are some really critical areas to keep in mind when it comes to setting an organization up for success. So with that said, when we think about digital transformation and what are the key areas in an organization should be mindful of with digital transformation? It's what I would say is that there's such a rapid advancement of technology, right? That's just driving this ever faster digital transformation across really all industries. And I see this even within government sectors, right? You need to be constantly evaluating what are the technologies, and that could be AI, right? That are going to improve my business operations, my customer experience, or my business model, right? May allow me to better deliver to my customers, right? That could be improved automation. It could be in incorporating AI in my call centers and how I'm supporting customers. It could be expanding digital analytics, right? Moving and embracing cloud-based computing, right? or shifting the organization to digital platforms, right, for improved customer engagement. Um, there's also a need for organizations to constantly refocus on the customer. So I call it customer centricity. Uh, customer needs, customer expectations by you are evolving, and they're always going to be changing, right? So organizations need to prioritize that customer experience. So you always need to understand that the things that you're doing, back to the strategy map, internally as a business, right, are all driving towards that customer or that stakeholder satisfaction. And just because you're in the government sector doesn't mean that you don't have the customers. You're serving customers internally, you're serving the citizens of the region or the country, right, that you're supporting. So you absolutely still have customers, and you need to have a customer central, right, view to your strategy. I also think organizations should be thinking about, and I know I'm starting to move a little bit in kind of some of the trends and changes here that we need to be thinking about, but ESG, right? The environmental, social, and governance, it's critically important to having a sustainable strategy, right? There's a growing, I think, importance on that. There's an expectation by shareholders, by the community, by your government organizations to do your job and to do it responsibly, right? So whether it's impact investing or sustainable processes, right? You need to ensure that you have good governance in place where ESG is not just lip service, but you're actually doing things that are having an impact, right, on your ESG posture in managing it. So I've seen organizations cascade their strategy to an ESG strategy map to be able to really articulate their ESG position and manage their posture around managing that. I also think, Dennis, along this idea of digital transformation, there's also transformation around work in the way that we know work in this post-COVID-19 pandemic era that we're in. There's been a rapid adoption to remote and flex-based working arrangements within organizations, right? I can guarantee you that we will never move back to the traditional model of most employees being in an office. Flexible work is here and it's going to stay and it'll likely grow. There's an expectation by these future generations that there will be flexibility in working environments and when they do work and how they do the work, right? So organizations need to be thinking about reevaluating physical office spaces and having the right technology and infrastructure in place to be able to support remote collaboration tools. So I think remote and flexible work is critically important there. And then just in terms of the last couple points that I would make is I think that there's a lot of disruption today, and there will always be disruption, especially with the advent of AI. There's going to be new business models that are coming out, right? And it's just becoming more common, and it's impacting more and more industries today, right? So you have to stay vigilant as an organization, right? To these disruptions. You also need to manage, um, you know, your culture, how you're innovating as in a culture, how you're investing in research, R&D, right? So these are all trends as part of, these new business models and the disruptions that we're seeing. So being super vigilant, disciplined around your strategy is, I would say, even more important in this day and age. I also see in the last two trends, and I may have gone over five here, Dennis, I apologize, but I think data privacy, security, it's a very real thing today. It's impacting organizations of all types. People do not want their website, their businesses hijacked, right? And with digital transformation, with so much more being online in the cloud, you must maintain a healthy posture and you must maintain compliance around that posture. And it's not a let's do a security audit a year anymore. It's regular compliance posture management, identifying threats, vulnerabilities, understanding the risks, understanding what we're doing to mitigate against those risks. And then the final point I'll make, Dennis, and I promise I'll shut up here, is uh, the globalization, the trade dynamics that are taking place, the supply chain dynamics that are taking place. We think of the geopolitical landscape that's shifting almost on a month-to-month basis now around trade, global trade. It is real, and it can have an absolutely significant impact on organizations, on communities, on entire countries, right? So we need to be really vigilant around, I would say, the risk and the dynamics that are taking place there and the impact that they're having on our strategy, our ability to get work done and to be successful as an organization, be it a for-profit or not-for-profit. So, Dennis, I know I covered a lot of points. I probably went over 5 there. I apologize. But I really feel like organizations, to be well equipped and ready for today's challenges, needs to be thinking about those areas.
Thank you very much, Kent. Clearly, CEOs, board of directors are living in an era where an increasingly uncertain, turbulent environment, coupled with the growing organizational complexity, it suggests greater centrality of the role of the CEO. So it means that the role of a CEO, right, can be cast in 3 metaphors as we go forward. Firstly, the board of directors need to decide whether they see the CEO as a parameter player concerned with adaptation of the organization to its external environment, or is an interior designer focused on the management of internal operations of the enterprise, or he could be viewed as a leader of the band, serving as the keeper of corporate values and providing strategic vision and direction to the organization. But I would say, Kent, going forward, we need a different caliber of a CEO. It's none of the 3 that I've just explained just now, because your future CEO has to deal with challenges associated with artificial intelligence. Your future board, in the era of intelligence, artificial intelligence, is to ensure that the organization relies heavily on data and analytics. Board members should possess knowledge of data-driven decision making, knowledge about data privacy, as you alluded earlier on, cyber security, and how AI algorithms work. Understanding how to leverage effectively will be crucial for strategic planning and ensure ethical AI processes within organizations. So clearly, going forward, there's a need to relook all these governance models, the role of board of directors, the role of CEOs, the role of executive managers, and most importantly, the use of data to support decision making. Kent, thank you so much for your participation in this podcast. You helped our audience to address quite a number of issues around strategy refresh. Thanks again for elaborating on some of the events that played a crucial role in reshaping post-COVID-19 strategies. Some of the events that you covered include digital transformation acceleration, global supply chain disruptions, changing consumer behavior and preferences, remote work revolution, and the new landscape that is now shaping how organizations function, whether in a decentralized environment, whether it's in the sector of manufacturing, education, or mining. We are all affected in this. But as we wrap up, Kent, at the next session, I would like us to look at data models, data architecture, and how ESM interacts with external applications, because now we're moving closer to an environment where a closer collaboration with other applications is required, particularly now that we've got AI? How would tools like ESM interact with such applications? How would ESM support such applications in terms of data collection, or it could be in terms of facilitating dissemination of decision-making data? And we'll leave it at that for now. And Kent, Managing Director, ESM Software Group, United States of America. Thank you, Kent.